The Dragonback series by Timothy Zahn. Book 3. Dragon and Slave. Chapter 35. Like the rest of the shuttle, the cockpit was a miniature version of a larger spaceship's flight deck. It was a three-seater, too, with co-pilot and system monitor stations in addition to the usual pilot's chair. "Have a seat," Jack ordered his two prisoners as he closed the cockpit door halfway and slid into the pilot's station. "This will only take a minute."
"You really think you have that long?"
Neverland said. Jack peered out the canopy, a tight knot in the pit of his stomach. The two Jin 90s had indeed arrived and were engaged in combat with the SNA. And for all the SNA's speed and Uncle Verge's computerized skill, it was clear the ship was fighting for its life. It wove and dodged madly through the sky, trying to stay out of the fighter's sights, while at the same time having to keep from straying over the deadly wall. And for the moment at least, there was nothing Jack could do to help. Tearing his eyes away from the view, he started keying in the sewer rat program.
"I say we let them take him out,"
Gazin said blackly.
"The kid and his uncle have become way more trouble than they're worth. There has to be another safecracker somewhere you can use for this job."
"I'm sure there is," Neverland agreed.
"But I have no intention of letting Virgil Morgan die before he's told us who else knows about this." "What do we need Morgan for?"
Gazin argued.
"We've got the kid, right?"
"You've got a really strange definition of ownership," Jack put in, keying the last part of the sequence. Now it was simply a matter of waiting for the program to do its job.
"You can't escape, you know,"
Gazin warned.
"Sooner or later, they'll come out here and close you down."
"Like your other Brumgas did?" Jack asked pointedly.
"Sheer weight of numbers will eventually take you down."
Neverland interjected.
"Even a Kadar warrior can only do so much."
"You might be surprised," Jack said, trying to match the other's confidence. The computer locking system was starting to waver now under the sewer rat's attack. Should be any minute. "But no matter what happens here, you're still in big trouble."
"Really?"
Neverland said.
"How do you figure that?"
"Because your bid to grab control of Braxton Universus has gone smokers," Jack told him. "That means that when you go up against the main Kada and Shantine refugee fleet, you won't have the Braxton security forces to draw on." He nodded toward the mansion. "Or do you think the Chakuk family and their 10-thumbed Brumgas can do the job all by themselves?" Gazin snorted.
"Look, kid, what's your point?"
Neverland cut him off. "My point is that you're finished," Jack said flatly. "You're a sinking ship, and you, Gazin, are going to go down with him if you're not careful. And if you call off those Jin 90s and open the gate, that'll be the end of it. Starforce never has to know you were ever involved with this." Neverland actually laughed out loud.
"Starforce? You expect us to believe Virgil Morgan would go to Starforce for help?"
"Gazin?" Jack asked, ignoring him. "Last chance to join the winning side."
"Your last chance to surrender and maybe live through this,"
Gazin countered. Abruptly, Dracos' head twitched toward the half-open door.
"Footsteps!"
he warned. Jack nodded. "And that ends the negotiations," he said, pulling out the slapstick he'd taken from Gazin and keying it to full power. Whether the newcomers were Maryland's group or more Brumgas, he didn't want his prisoners blurting out anything about Dracos. "Nighty-night!" He flicked the tip at Gazin, then at Neverland. A pair of brilliant sparks later, both men were down for the count. Dracos touched Jack's hand as he retracted the slapstick, sliding up his arm out of sight. Jack could hear the pounding feet now in the corridor. Hiding the slapstick behind his back, he waited. The door slid the rest of the way open, and Fleck burst into the cockpit, a laser rifle gripped in his hands. "Easy, Fleck," Jack said hurriedly. "It's under control."
"I guess so,"
Fleck said, his voice sounding a little strangled. He threw an odd look at the sleeping prisoners and another one at Jack.
"That pile of Brumgas back there, your work?"
"I had help," Jack told him. "Where's the rest of the group?"
"I told them to strap in,"
Fleck said, slinging the rifle over his right shoulder.
"Wow,"
Noy breathed from the doorway as he peeked in.
You really know how to fly this? If he doesn't, we're crushed berries, Fleck said. At least we've got a couple of hostages now. You want me to move them back into the main cabin?
Yes, thanks, Jack said. And be sure to strap them in.
If we've got enough seats,
Fleck said, grunting as he hoisted Neverland over his shoulder.
We've picked up a few extra passengers. A Wistwak named Heaterreef and a few of his buddies were waiting outside when I came by.
Really? Jack said, frowning as he turned to the control board and keyed in the startup sequence. The main controls looked pretty standard, but where were the weapons controls? How did he even know anything was up?
Yeah, he said word had gotten out that you were missing and that the Brumgas thought you were trying to escape,
Fleck said.
He pulled together all the household slaves who would come and sneak them outside. I hope that was okay.
Jack shrugged. The more the merrier.
And I have to tell you that private army you've got running blocks is really something,
Fleck added.
I was falling over sleeping Brumgas every other step out there.
We aim to please, Jack said. That where you picked up the rifle?
Thought it might come in handy,
Fleck said.
I guess I didn't have to bother.
He disappeared out the door, Neverland's dangling feet clunking against the corridor as he headed aft.
What are we going to do about the wall?
Noy asked, coming up to Jack's side. Don't worry, we'll get through, Jack promised. Go back and strap in, okay?
Okay,
Noy said. He took one more lingering look at the controls and left. Blast it, where are the weapons? Jack muttered, still searching the control board. This is one of Neverland's ships. It has to be armed. Dracos leaped from his collar and landed beside the co-pilot's seat.
They are here,
he said, bounding up into the chair and flicking his tongue toward a section of the control board.
What do you wish done?
Jack peered out the canopy at the running battle. The Jin 90s aren't expecting an attack from inside the wall, he said. If we can nail one of them, that'll give Uncle Verge a better chance.
Understood,
Draco said. He arched his back over the board, his claws skating delicately over the controls.
Holy!
Came a gasp from behind them. Jack spun around to see Fleck trying to fumble the rifle off his shoulder. It's all right, he said quickly. He's a friend. Fleck took a shuddering breath, his hands freezing on the rifle sling.
A friend?
He said, as if trying the word on for size.
And an ally,
Dracos added, swiveling his long neck to stare back at him.
And it talks too,
Fleck muttered.
You're the one who took out all the Brumgas?
Every one of them, Jack said, and we're a little busy right now. Just get gazing out of here, okay?
Sure,
Fleck said.
Okay, what do you want me to do then?
Stand by the hatchway with that weapon.
Yes, there may be a way of opening it from the outside, and they may try to rush us as we lift,
Draco said. Fleck looked questioningly at Jack. Do it, Jack confirmed. Trust me, he's the military expert on this team.
If you say so,
Fleck said, hoisting gazing over his shoulder.
Good luck.
And don't say anything to the others, Jack added, nodding toward Dracos. We're sort of trying to keep him a secret.
Yeah, I figured that,
Fleck said dryly.
Don't worry.
He left, this time shutting the door behind him.
I am ready,
Dracos said.
When shall I fire?
The minute they get a clear shot, Jack told him, peering back at his own board. I don't want to risk tipping them off by lifting until you've... He broke off as a triplet of brilliant blue sparks flashed out from the shuttle's nose. He jerked his head up just in time to see one of the Jin 90s buck violently to the side. Trailing a plume of smoke, it rolled away from its pursuit of the Essene, dropping like an injured duck.
Was that what you wanted?
Dracos asked calmly. With an effort, Jack found his voice. Yeah, that should do it, he managed. Crabbing sideways, the damaged Jin 90 dropped over the wall into the slave area and disappeared behind the trees. A second later, there was a second burst of fire, and a fresh red glow added its bit to the light from the glider fire. Jack caught his breath. The fighter had gone over the wall, without drawing any fire from the hidden weaponry. Did you see that? He asked.
Yes,
Draco said.
Do you think they have shut down the wall defenses?
Not with a battle going on, Jack said, thinking hard. It must be a localized thing, probably running off transponders in the fighters. The wall senses when a Chakuk vehicle is heading across and holds its fire. The Kalak Sevens, Draco said, his neck arching suddenly. They are still on the ground by the wall. And they should have the same transponders, Jack said, feeling a surge of excitement as he threw power to the lifters. That's our way out. Come on, let's get this thing moving.